what is wonderful about your life right now?
Almost everything.
Okay. Okay. Can you be a little more specific?
I have a wonderful career. I have a wonderful lover. I have a wonderful house. I have a beautiful piece of property. My health is terrific. I'm very athletic and active in the outdoor world. My friends are loving and supportive.
Great.
And I have an absolutely wonderful family, one member of which is a little out of sync at the moment, but I have a great therapist, so I get a tune-up when that happens.
Great, great. So would you say it's one of the happiest times of your life?
Yes,
Yeah. Good.
without doubt.
Okay, that things have come
It's
together
about
for you?
wisdom, too.
Okay,
Allie.
okay. Like what? Tell me more.
Well, at 68, I have a level of wisdom and a level of strength which far surpasses any I have ever had before.
Right.
And when I have run into a problem like the one I'm having with my middle son, I have learned through the help of my wonderful therapist, Ann Quinn, to disengage.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been using that knowledge with a man who became obstreperous as a realtor, believe it or not, and was disrespectful.
This is your son?
No, the
you use it with
realtor is a
somebody else.
business relationship.
Okay,
I was
okay.
buying some rental property within the last month, and he was disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
So I disengaged and wrote him a very short email that said, I will no longer, the business between us will only be through email, mail, or fax.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing backflips of being upset about it, and I just said, it'll be clearer that way.
Really? Wow.
And this is how I'm handling my life now. My life demands respect.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a wonderful career. I've done wonderful work, and my work, like yours, is healing work. So I've contributed a huge amount to the world. And if people do not respect that, I will not be with them. I will not associate with them. In this case, I was already in a binder relationship with the realtor, so I'm finishing the deal, but it's over then. No more contact after that. People really, in many ways, don't respect themselves, don't respect the planet, don't respect their bodies. Look at the obesity. So being different from that and respecting my body 100%, respecting the planet totally, and respecting my talent, I have a marvelous life as long as I continue that respect.
And the wisdom is part of that, too.
Oh, yeah.
To say, no, this drains my energy, or this is not respectful of me, I'm out of here. I'm finished.
Yeah, and the tremendous wisdom that's intellectual. I think probably 5 years ago or 10, I began to accept the fact that I was an intellectual. Before then, it seemed like a pompous mantle to carry.
Really?
But now I know I'm an intellectual, and I absorb information at a pace very different from other people's, much faster, with a depth that's poetic. I write endless poetry that will be published when I get that part done soon. And I have to accept the vastness of my talent and my ability now without feeling or believing I'm being conceited by doing that. It's
So
I have to accept that to use it all. I have to accept it.
So it sounds like these wisdom years, or years in our 60s, can be a time of totally stepping into our power and the fullness of who we are, and not having to hold back.
And it's a harvest
It's a harvest.
of the ability. It's an amazing time. I am beginning to hire the co-author, hire the assistant. I've just put an assistant into my life she's an architect, but she's brilliant, and that will completely help in facilitating the management of the talent. You see, it's very hard to manage this level of talent.
Right, right.
But she's transcribing my poetry, which usually gets written in little speckled notebooks, you see them on the shelf over here, into the computer. I don't take the time to do that.
So you write longhand and then transcribe? Okay, all right.
Because it's an intuitive thing, like
Yeah.
the artwork, so
Yeah.
it comes out almost in an alpha state, so.
Right.
Uh,
I write longhand and I don't always transpose it yet.
yeah, and when I don't have someone to do that, it can get lost, because I wrote hundreds of poems to my lover between 2005 and 2008 that were eaten up by a little laptop that crashed. Before I'd transcribed them into something, even printed them out in paper
Oh,
form.
wow.
So I have to be very vigilant about that
Right.
kind of soliciting help so that the work gets into a modality that can be used. I've just hired an architect to help me with the redesign of the outbuilding that will expand my studio space, because I would normally, say 5 years ago, have just designed it myself. But I would have missed a lot of the subtlety of the radiant floor heating, the composting toilet, the lighting, and all these things he can bring to it. So I'm bringing in, people who are professionals to help me now.
Great. So it's really taking yourself seriously.
Yes.
Yeah, taking that to a whole other level. Yeah.
Very different, yeah.
So the other side of this is, what is missing from your life?
What shall we say? Living forever.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Living forever. Okay.
I'm very aware of death at this point as a certain cover on a book, which is rich and had a beginning and will have an end. I try to keep all of my inheritance, which is now rather large, way over $1 million, into an orderly kind of framework for my 3 sons. This isn't easy in this culture because things like banks make it difficult, but I work on all of that too.
Especially now.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the awareness of death, the awareness that there's not enough time.
Right. Well, I never think that way.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that there's not enough time. I'm just aware there will be a termination point, and in the meantime, I need to really be the thoroughbred I am and get out on the track all the time, not just every now and then.
So more conscious of the moments you do have and what the time you have. And kind of, it sounds like an impulse to organize things. And
Oh,
to,
God, yes.
To complete the order.
Totally organization oriented. I mean, just the idea of expanding the studio to it's a small barn, 30 by 60 feet with an upstairs and a downstairs. Through that transformation, I began cleaning up the studio I have here in the house, which is 10 by 20, plus there's an office 10 by 20, plus I've started moving into this room, and I realized as I'm thinking about that, how many of the closets this house is full of art and studio, and so I'm organizing that in terms of stacks of old paper and things, so it'll be clear to me what's going to stay in the house and what's over there. It's, it's a small walk away, it's 150 feet away, but I want to have the office-related parts of my career in the house, and some drawing boards here, because I do a lot of late night or early morning thinking and creating, and out there may become more like a reception area, so then all of a sudden I have a room in the house. You saw where the models were. That'll get empty and go out there.
Right.
It's like it's a wonderful project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's your next challenge or project, to get that barn together, would you say?
That's going on simultaneously with publishing the memoirs,
Okay.
publishing a book of poetry that may be accompanied by my watercolors, and doing a large project for the quadricentennial of Hudson's
Oh, yeah, you tell me
trip.
about that one.
Upriver, on the Hudson River, for the opening of the walkway over the Hudson, which is a pedestrian walkway going from Highland to Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
And for that celebration, I'll be doing a piece on the Hudson River with 20 to 30 jet skis, choreographed the way I've designed the choreography to reflect the trusswork system of this 1895 bridge, which is a gorgeous old railroad bridge. So that's happening right now too.
And how did you get involved in that? Who did you Did you come with an idea, or did you get involved in having a pedestrian walkway, and then the art evolved out of that?
The chairperson of the board of the Women's Studio Workshop, Karen Hendrickson, met me at a party and became very excited about my work and wanted me to work with Women's Studio Workshop to do a piece. Amy Kalmbach, the director, was musing about wanting to do something for the walkway over the Hudson, but since Amy never answered any of my emails, I just ran with it, went down to the bridge, found it, because when she said she wanted to do something for the quadricentennial, I looked up quadricentennial, found out about the walkway over the Hudson, went to the walkway over the Hudson, met Diana Gang, who's the safety officer for Harrison and Burroughs, who are the construction people. She invited me to come up. I came up. She invited me to meet Fred Schaefer, who's the head of Walkways Over the Hudson, and now it's just, like that.
Just grew.
Networking.
Yeah, it sounds like a combination of your own creativity and your taking the initiative and making things happen.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and the woman who happens to be designing the celebration on October 3rd, 2009, Jean Fleming, is an old friend. She's the creator of the Halloween parade in the Village in New York City, and she does a lot of celebrations, and she loves what I'm doing. Fred Schaefer, the head of the walkway, loves what I'm doing, so it's definitely going to happen. And I'll start raising funds for it soon, because I'm not putting that on anyone else's shoulders. I have my own nonprofit under the auspices of New York Foundation for the Arts
Oh, great.
called Avatar.
Avatar. Great. Okay. Let's see, how do I put this for you? Because a lot of what you've said answers this, but what is really meaningful in your life right now? What gives your life meaning, or what is most meaningful?
Poetic and artistic vision, sensuality on all levels, including sexuality. The artistic vision and the intuition and all that is all tied up with the world sensuality that is part of my life. I'm a sailor because I love the sensual aspect of it. I love being on the water. So if I had a pilot's license, I'd be flying. That's why the orbiter's flying. It's all very big, sensual experience at this point.
Okay. The feminism in the 70s and 80s was political in that transformed the world, or as in the video piece I saw, transformed the way all people are thinking and seeing the world.
Hasn't done it yet.
No, but I think we're cycling to another level with Obama, hopefully. So there was a political nuance or political feel to the what was meaningful here. Is that still operating with you?
I'm not totally clear on your question. You're talking
In
about
other words,
feminism?
Well, at that point it was feminism, but
Mhm.
wanting to transform how people saw the world. In other words, reaching people and wanting to bring them to, at that point, what felt like an expanded or a more authentic place.
Yeah, that's still operative in the sense of particularly the orbiter, the piece which is behind me in those drawings up above the drawing table. She is a 32-foot long figure which will circle the Earth. She's going to be an international Earth keeper.
Oh, okay.
She will go around the world on her own flatbed trailer, custom bunked, so that when her arms detach, they fit beside her. This is the way a sailboat travels. She will be built in a shipyard.
When she said she will be, you actually have the plans.
Those plans
and
are ready to
project.
go
Okay.
to the machine that will build her.
Okay.
I've just been waiting for the world to quiet down.
Ah.
Anyway,
Okay.
the orbiter herself is really an Earth keeper. She's going to travel around the Earth, and as you go in her ribcage bay, the 3 monitors which will be inside of her body, she's 8 feet in diameter, will be showing her mythological history, which is going to be an interesting thing to create on video, and the second monitor will show actual footage from NASA showing her orbit of the Earth, because she's returning from the Earth from having orbited the Earth. And the third video monitor will show what she thought about what she saw. So it's a highly political piece. that will deal with ecological concerns, feminist concerns, geopolitical concerns, many different kinds of concerns, feminist concerns, in her third video.
Well, you know, the reason I want you to talk to Judith Aspar is she brings the feminists together with the ecological.
Yeah, she sounds very interesting.
Yeah. What do you want the world to remember about you? What is your legacy to the world? Let's start with the small, and let's,
Well, I think it's very similar.
okay?
The creativity which I have is a healing creativity, as is yours. I always approach a site, and in the case of the arbiters, the world, with a concern for what is needed. And if people are able to see that healing aspect of my work, I'll be very touched. Because I'm, like most artists and yourself too, most probably, very sensitive to what's going on around me, to the point that I don't have or want a television set. It's too much junk, too much violence. I can't tolerate that. That's such a depravity in our society. So that I'm hoping what I'm doing will be viewed not on a superficial level as self-indulgent, but as a balm to the world. When I put Floribunda, the evergreen flowering hedge maze, in front of Creedmoor, I wanted the people who were incarcerated there to see the beauty of the flowers and that there was a way out of their maze. And then Ann Worcester, the critic for the Village Voice, saw that once again I'd done a vulval form with the clitoris. I just, you know, this painting is like that. Things do happen like that, you know, with the subconscious going its way. But there is a healing aspect to everything I've done.
Who are your mentors, or your, you know, when you talk about this, I think of course of Georgia O'Keeffe.
George O'Keeffe is a wonderful example for all women. She had a strength and an independence and a beauty about her that I totally adore. I have owned land in Taos, New Mexico. She's, you know, major focus was Abiquiu, near there. I have spent time in the Mabel Dodge Lujan house, which she went to when she first moved to New Mexico, and she couldn't tolerate Mabel Dodge and her insomnia and megalomaniacal self. But she passed through there. I passed through the Mabel Dodge Lujan house when it was owned by Dennis Hopper. I'm going back there March 15th, just to be there again, in the presence of a dear friend who's running a writing workshop there, Jeff Davis. My brother lives in Taos. I own 5 acres, not 5, what do I have? 10 acres in that Apache Pass in Taos. I mean, she's a connect, a direct connect. She's major.
And she works so intuitively, her seeing that, was it that red door, and then it was a nunnery, and then she finally bought it years later. She had seen the property. And
that's the way
she said, I will have that, I will have that, I will own that.
This piece is a place I visited. This house is a place I visited as a guest, and found the sacred ley line from the Mons Veneris of the goddess, which is right over there, Little Tanchi Mountain, beneath her thighs, which are Tanchi Mountain and Taistanak, the big mountain over there. The first day I visited here. I never thought I'd own it. Then it became available because the man who had bought it from the original family, the Schulteses, didn't make his payments.
The Schultes, yeah, that's a big...
Yeah, well, they were the original settlers of Woodstock after the Native Americans. And when that man reneged on his promise to pay Lester on a mortgage he had with Lester, I realized it became available, and I got here. I called him and I said, how much? And he gave me a figure, and I said, well, maybe $12,000 less. And he said, okay. And then I, 'I, 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 'I,
Interesting.
And
You talk about the mountain being a female form here?
yeah, Vincent Scully's a mentor of mine. He
Okay.
has written a book called The Earth, the Temple, and Gods, which posits that every temple in Greece is on the ley line of the Mons Veneris of the goddess.
Oh, okay.
And the book is marvelous. I've traveled all over Greece and verified his beauty. Beautiful concepts. He's an architectural historian who teaches at Yale.
Mhm.
Is Maya Lynn's mentor, the woman who did the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. He may be retired now. I hope he's still alive. He's a wonderful person. He's a mentor. Chiquetta Hawkes, the archaeologist who wrote the book, which is absolutely marvelous, right over here on the shelf. I could get it for you. I'm trying to remember the title. For some reason that slipped away. It's, Dawn of the Gods. That's what it is. Chiquetta Hawkes actually invited me to come visit her because I fell so in love with her
Dawn of the
concepts.
Gods, and this is,
Chiquetta Hawkes, Jacquetta.
yeah.
She was married to J.B. Priestley,
Oh, interesting.
and she,
Well, we're
her
oriented,
father
she's more
was
visual, yeah.
an archaeologist. She's an archaeologist. She also wrote another book called The Early Stages of Ancient Man, which is totally phenomenal. Tracking humans from 30,000 BC to, where does she stop? She probably stops in classical Greece, so she probably stops somewhere a little before 1000 AD. She stops way before that, yeah. But she's only interested in prehistory as an archaeologist. She has written amazing books on archaeology. She's also written some novels.
Oh,
And
interesting, huh?
she's no longer alive, but she's a very powerful, very excellent woman who's a mentor.
Yeah.
And not directly to me, but through her, I know a lot. She did invite me to visit her at Kissing Tree Lane, but I didn't have enough money
At
back
the
then and
time,
didn't get to go. So
Okay.
those are the kind of people that are mentors.
Yeah.
But they're not what you would suspect.
Mhm.
I mean, George is the only artist.
Artist, yeah.
Another person I look forward
Well,
to,
but
look
does
up to is Marcel Duchamp.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Cinematic or?
He's
I
right
mean,
there.
right. Oh, that's his picture of the. with
That's
the-
his picture
oh,
on
okay,
10th
yeah,
Street
yeah.
in New York City.
Okay.
Yeah, these are people that are really meaningful. Duchamp is
Oh, okay.
really
Okay.
the first
Oh,
modern
interesting.
artist as
10th
far as
Street,
I'm concerned.
1964. That's an interesting photo of
Isn't it
him
gorgeous?
squared off and
Yeah.
interesting.
He's dear.
How has he influenced you? The cinematic, I could see it in the frieze, the feminine frieze, the kind of cinematic
Oh, you mean woman
progression.
molding, yeah. More in the freedom with which he worked.
Mm.
You know, the way he went about his life was fantastic. He worked rather secretively on particularly the work that's in the Philadelphia Museum, where there's a woman with her body splayed totally open. And he worked on that secretly in the village. And he worked on, it's got a name in French like Le Gaz or something, I'm forgetting what it's called. But then the other piece, the huge piece, The Bride Stripped Bare by Her Bachelors, which is also in the Philadelphia Museum, he worked on that in such with his mind, in such a poetic level, that it's absolutely fascinating work. So just to see him, he still amazes me. To see how he could always operate on many levels simultaneously as he worked, that's wonderful, and that's rare. It's very rare in the art world or any world. But he was managing that all the time, all the time acting as a chess, just pretending he was just a chess master, which he was very good at. But
what do you think is your next step in this? Is it the poetry and synthesizing things or organizing them, bringing them together, or is there another big project or environmental?
well, the orbiter is so
The
big.
next, okay.
She could occupy me for a lot of years, like 10.
Okay.
Because in order to do her, I created a completely new method of fundraising, and this is after years of winning competitions and awards and funding my work through that
Mhm.
process, it's far too draining for me now. I
Mhm.
don't want to
Mhm.
enter 3 art competitions a day, which is the rate at which I had to work
To have what you
to
had,
win the ones I won.
yeah. Okay.
I had two assistants in the city. I had them working full-time 2 days a week, doing nothing but entering art competitions
Mm.
in order to win the ones I won, which are now permanent public sculptures, and there are 8 of them throughout the United States. But I don't like working that way.
Mhm.
And also fundraising through the nonprofit organization I set up, Avatar, is also a very draining experience. I don't want to work that way.
Right,
I
right.
can raise money at a clip of $8,000 to $10,000 per benefit, but it takes 3 months to raise that much money. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to have to spend that kind of time on that.
So what's the new
So
model?
the method for raising money for the Orbiter is very different, and I find frequently I can find, if I step into the business world, I figure it out. So with the Orbiter, I will be contracting out to museums,
Mm.
municipalities all over the world.
Mhm.
Even if a shopping center wants her, they get her, because they will have to give me, in contract form, $10,000 cash up front to contract for her to visit.
Wow.
Then, on her arrival at that site, she will receive another $10,000 for her visit.
Right.
If they don't have that $10,000 when I arrive, we move on.
Right.